The first clash of magic and thunder. Blaviken had never felt this heavy. The air was thick, the skies hung dark with clouds, and the streets were unnaturally quiet. Shops were closed, shutters bolted, and even the animals sensed something strange in the wind. Then it happened. High voltage, the arrival of Superman. A blazing light tore through the sky like a sword of fire. Thunder cracked, and the earth trembled. Just outside Blaviken, deep in the woods, a fiery shockwave rippled across the trees. In the center of it stood a man, tall, built like a god, dressed in blue and red, with a bold S shining on his chest. Superman, or as his birth name echoed in distant stars, Kal-El. He didn't know how he got here. One moment, he was chasing a magical anomaly across Metropolis. The next, he was pulled through a rip in space and landed in a world where monsters walked in daylight, and magic was real. Wolf faced the first encounter with Geralt. Only one man in Blaviken sensed the shift in the air. Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf, the Witcher. His medallion buzzed violently on his chest. He felt the disturbance, otherworldly energy. Not magic, something else. He sheathed his steel sword, grabbed the silver one, and made his way into the forest. The dust settled. Superman looked up just as Geralt stepped through the smoke. Silver blade drawn, white hair loose in the wind, yellow eyes fixed on the newcomer. Geralt coldly. Monster or man? Superman calm but wary. I'm not here to hurt anyone, but I don't think I'm in Kansas anymore. Geralt didn't blink. This being was powerful. That much was obvious. But was he friend or threat? Suddenly, the wind shifted. Black crows spiraled over the trees. Something darker stirred in the shadows. Crystal Ball, a forgotten prophecy. High above the village, deep in the temple ruins, a blind oracle trembled as thunder rumbled. His milky white eyes stared into nothing as he whispered, "He has arrived, the son of the sky, and the slayer of beasts. Only together can they end the darkness, or bring the world to its knees." An ancient prophecy etched in stone, long ignored, now echoed again. When the child of stars and the butcher of men stand as one, a war of worlds shall begin. Geralt's pulse quickened. Could this visitor be part of it? Was he the sky child the prophecy spoke of? He didn't have long to wonder. Drop of Blood Renfri's gang strikes first. Elsewhere in the outskirts of Blaviken, Renfri's gang had gathered in a crumbling crypt, performing rituals with a forbidden object, the obsidian orb. Beside them stood a cloaked necromancer, chanting in an ancient tongue. The orb glowed violently, a relic stolen from a realm beyond this world. That very orb had torn the veil between dimensions. It was them who had unknowingly dragged Superman into this world. As the final incantation was spoken, shadows slithered out of the orb. 3 dark warriors emerged, their bodies human but their eyes abyssal black. One of them whispered, "The butcher is no longer alone." And they vanished into the darkness, heading toward Blaviken. A deal written in blood. The ground in Blaviken hadn't yet cooled from the heat of Superman's arrival when something darker began to spread through its alleys. Fear, and something more ancient cursed. Test tube Renfri's bloody bargain. Deep within the ruins outside Blaviken, Renfri stood over a circle of blood, her dagger dripping fresh crimson. Her eyes gleamed unnaturally, flickering with shadows. Across from her knelt a disfigured figure, cloaked in rot-black robes, Savra, the exiled warlock of Zerrikania. He hissed through cracked lips, "You want a butcher dead? You'll need more than blades. You'll need what's forbidden." Renfri didn't blink. "I want the wolf's head. And the other one, the winged god. Both." Savra smiled with rotted teeth. In exchange for her soul, and those of her followers, he granted her a piece of the void stone, a relic that corrupted reality, bending it to dark will. He whispered ancient rites into her mind, and in that moment, Renfri became more than human. She became marked. Handshake Geralt and Superman, reluctant allies. Back in Blaviken, the tension between Geralt and Superman had cooled, but trust hadn't yet found ground. The White Wolf moved like a predator, cautious and always watching. Superman hovered, scanning energy patterns through the forest with his heat vision. "Whoever brought me here isn't just playing with portals," Kal-El muttered. "This place, it's being poisoned." Geralt replied, "You feel it too? Good. Then you'll fight when they come." Suddenly, a scream echoed from the town square. No more words, just instinct. Geralt sprinted ahead, blades drawn. Superman flew, just above him, like a bolt of controlled lightning. Side by side, sword and fist, speed and steel. It had begun. Skull and crossbones, the first strike. In the heart of Blaviken, the townspeople gathered for a festival that never began. Laughter was still blooming when Renfri's assassins walked into the crowd. Faces masked, cloaks shadowy, weapons drawn. They didn't announce themselves. They simply began. Steel cut through joy. Blood spilled into the streets. One assassin drew a blade made from the same void stone, slicing through even Witcher-forged steel. Another hurled a black spell that turned a baker into stone, alive and screaming. Then came the explosion, a silent burst of dark magic that shook the sky. And just as all hope seemed lost, he landed. Boom! Superman crashed into the square like a meteor, taking down 2 assassins in a single motion. Lasers from his eyes incinerated a dark spell midair. Geralt, leaping from a rooftop, drove his silver blade through the heart of the third killer. They moved like they'd fought together for years. Geralt, not bad for a caped fool. Superman smirking. You're not so bad yourself, wolf boy. Fearful face broken trust. But for the townsfolk, it was too much. Magic, monsters, an alien from the sky, a blood-soaked butcher from the past. All in one place. Whispers started. Witcher ni is Betty Iko Balaya Haga. Yi dano hamari tabahi ki wajahain. Ya Blaviken kuliya acha shugin nahi. The town that once called Geralt a hero now looked at him with suspicion, and at Superman with terror. They had saved lives, but the people only saw the blood. And in the shadows, Renfri smiled. Conspiracy in the shadows. Blaviken was no longer just a town. It had become a battlefield between realities, a place where destiny bent, and shadows whispered secrets that could end worlds. The twist. Renfri was just a pawn. In the darkness of her hideout, Renfri stood before a cracked mirror, her hands trembling. The void stone pulsed in her satchel, burning into her skin like a curse. She gritted her teeth. I did everything you asked, she whispered. A voice replied, but not with sound. It crawled into her mind like oil seeping into parchment. You were never the queen, only the piece I needed to open the gate. Renfri screamed, falling to her knees. Behind the veil of her rebellion, Saga the warlock had manipulated every move. She wasn't the mastermind, she was bait. The real plan was far greater. Through her blood and rage, he had awakened a sleeping force beneath Blaviken, a rift between realms. And the key to opening it fully? Kal-El's blood. Crystal Ball Geralt's visions, Superman's past. That night, Geralt awoke in a sweat. His medallion buzzed with violent energy, and his dreams had been poisoned with visions, but these weren't his own. He saw a world with flying machines, metal towers, and a baby rocketing through space. He saw a planet, Krypton, destroyed in fire. And then he saw him, Kal-El, falling from the sky. Superman burst through the door at the same time, eyes wide. You saw it too? He asked. Geralt nodded. Your past. My dream. Someone is connecting us through magic. But why? In the temple ruins, the old oracle whispered to no one. The sword and the stars share fate now. And fate can be rewritten. DNA, the Witcher super serum. Yennefer arrived at dawn, sensing the disturbance from Aretuza. She found Geralt and Superman staring over ancient scrolls. This has happened before, she said, during the conjunction of spheres, but never with someone like him. She brought with her a prototype, something dangerous and untested, the Witcher super serum. It's a fusion of mutagens and Kryptonian DNA we found in his blood. One shot could either enhance your bond or kill you both. Superman stepped forward without hesitation. If it gives us an edge, I'll take the risk. Yennefer looked to Geralt. You'll need to drink it together. One soul forged in magic, the other in the stars. They did. The burn was instant. Their veins lit up. The world blurred. For a moment they merged vision, strength, reflexes, and saw what lay ahead. Saga and the apocalypse he was planning. Skull and crossbones, Superman's weakness exploited. But Savra wasn't waiting. He had learned something precious from his dark arts. Superman's weakness wasn't just kryptonite, it was his heart, his compassion, his guilt. And with a twisted incantation, he conjured an illusion in Superman's mind. A phantom of Martha Kent, calling for help, drowning in fire. Kal-El staggered, clutching his head, falling to his knees. Geralt shouted, "It's not real. Fight it." But Superman was fading, his strength bleeding away, his vision clouded. Savra, watching through the mirror gate, grinned. The Star Child breaks from within, and then the butcher will burn. Akri Rat, Akri Sans. One night, one breath, a town on fire. Two legends pushed beyond their limits. Fire Blaviken in flames. Screams pierced the night as flames swallowed Blaviken. Homes cracked open with heat. Shadows danced along stone walls as black magic slithered like smoke. The once peaceful town had become a war zone. Children cried. Elders ran. Blood painted the cobblestones. In the heart of the chaos stood Savra, hovering above the town square, hands raised. Around him, a vortex of magical fire and darkness tore through the sky, feeding off the fear below. He whispered, "Let the convergence begin." The void rift above Blaviken widened. Drop of blood, the return of the butcher. Geralt stood in the ashes, eyes burning golden, face smeared with blood and soot. His medallion screamed with power. He had tried diplomacy. He had tried holding back. No more. He looked down at the bodies of two villagers, innocents, slain by Savra's dark soldiers. Their faces reminded him of Sintra, of Renfri, of everything he had failed to protect. His hand gripped the hilt of his sword tighter. Then he said it, cold, simple, final. No more mercy. He coated his silver blade in cursed oil. His steel sword glowed from earthen glyph. And then he moved. Fast, brutal, unforgiving. They called him Butcher of Blaviken once. Tonight he reminded them why. Heads flew. Limbs were severed. Every dark assassin Savra had summoned was torn down, one, by a white-haired storm. The Butcher was back. Anger symbol Superman in rage mode. In the skies above, Kal-El floated, barely conscious, still haunted by the illusion of his mother. But Geralt's voice cut through. "Kal, it's not real. Look at me." Something clicked. Superman's eyes glowed red. The illusion shattered. And then, he roared. Not a scream, but a shockwave of fury. The ground cracked beneath the force. The sky trembled. Savra turned, startled for the first time. Superman bolted upward, then crashed down like a comet straight into Savra's magical barrier. The impact shattered the barrier into glowing shards. He grabbed Savra midair, fists like meteors. Blow after blow rained down until Savra screamed in pain, blood pouring from his mouth. Geralt watched from below. He'd never seen power like this. Raw, beautiful, terrifying. Broken heart won friendship, one sacrifice, one revenge. Renfri appeared from the smoke, limping, broken, yet alive. Her eyes locked on Geralt. "I never wanted this," she said weakly. "You let it happen," Geralt replied, and he raised his sword. But before he could strike, a dark arrow of pure magic flew toward him, aimed for the heart. Superman moved first. In a flash, Kal-El pushed Geralt aside, taking the hit through his chest. Silence. Superman dropped to one knee, eyes wide. Black veins spread across his chest. "No," Geralt whispered, catching him. "You still owe me that drink." Superman chuckled. Geralt gritted his teeth. "Stay with me." But Kal-El's strength faded. His body fell limp. Above them, Savra laughed, bleeding but still alive. Geralt stood slowly, silent, shaking. His eyes turned gold once more, but this time, something else filled them. Rage and revenge. Yunka Faisla. The sword meets the spell. The hero meets the end. A town is scarred forever. High voltage, the final showdown begins. Blaviken burned in the backdrop as the two last battles began, side by side, yet separate in fate. Geralt versus Renfri. Superman versus Savra. In the smoldering courtyard, Renfri stood tall, blood on her hands, dark energy crackling around her. Her eyes glowed faint violet, warped by the Void Stone's lingering curse. Across from her, Geralt's white hair blew in the smoke-filled wind. His armor was scorched, blade bloodstained, and soul-torn. They didn't speak. There were no words left. With a sudden clash, steel met steel, Renfri's cursed dagger versus Geralt's silver blade. Sparks danced in midair as they circled, lunged, and countered, the pain of their pasts echoing in every strike. Crystal Ball Superman versus Saga, the sorcerer's last sin. Above them, suspended midair in what looked like a shattered reality, Saga the warlock had summoned the final spell. A storm of dark energy twisted behind him, drawing power from the broken rift, pulling pieces of other realms into Blaviken. Dragons, demons, planets, all threatened to collapse. But Superman, wounded, cracked, coughing blood, rose once more. This ends now. Saga laughed. You're weakened. Dying. You can't stop me. Kal-El didn't respond. Instead, he flew. Faster than thought. Faster than light. And slammed Saga into the rift. They tumbled through fragments of space, magic, and memory, until Superman saw it. The core spell, suspended inside Saga's heart, powering the chaos. There was only one way. He reached inside the warlock's chest, gripped the core, and exploded with heat vision and pure will. The spell shattered. So did Saga. The rift began to collapse. Balance scale justice or revenge. On the ground, Geralt had pinned Renfri, her blade knocked away, her breath shallow. She looked up with those same haunting eyes from years ago. Do it, she said. You've always wanted to. Geralt froze. His blade hovered above her chest. He remembered the prophecy. He remembered the people. He remembered how she once asked for mercy, and how he hadn't given it. This time, he dropped the blade. No, he said. Not like this. She gasped. But then, behind him, she moved for a hidden dagger. Geralt turned, and someone else struck first. Superman. Burned. Bleeding. Barely standing. But alive. He fired a single laser into the blade in Renfri's hand, disarming her, not killing her. Geralt looked at him, shocked. Kal-El smiled. Justice, not revenge. Dove, the final sacrifice. The collapsing rift began to pull everything toward it. Even the town. Superman stepped forward. If I fly it into the sky, I can contain it, but I won't come back. Geralt said nothing. He knew the cost of sacrifice. He had lived it, breathed it. Superman nodded. Protect them. He flew, one final time, into the sky, into the rift, and with a final, blinding light, he was gone. The rift closed. The skies calmed. The silence was unbearable. Recede ending. Weeks passed. Blaviken rebuilt, but its soul remained scarred. Some said a witcher saved them. Some said a man from the stars gave his life for a world not his own. Only Geralt knew the truth. And as he stood at the edge of the forest, cloak blowing, medallion still, he whispered, Wo dano chael gay, lekin Blaviken kabi wesa naraha.